Welcome to another episode of Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeird.
I'm Matt Jones.
And I'm Justin Lemmy. Welcome.
It's good to have Matt back with us. It's been a little while. How you doing, Matt?
I'm alive. And right now that's a victory.
That's good. We're glad you're here. I have to. Justin is in a bad mood today. We can tell because he's
tired.
He's tired and he doesn't have the football game on the TV because last week was an absolute nightmare.
Listen,
I mean, that's a little ridiculous on their part, honestly.
Remember, if you don't have the approval of CBS, the NFL, and its subsidiaries, which we saw in Family Guy when the FBI busted through
No. This was the
door.
mouse. This was the mouse.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the mouse.
Yeah, because
that
it was
means
Monday
it was
Night Football.
ESPN.
Yeah, Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I literally, for those of you who don't know, I mean, we also filmed this and we put it up on the website or on YouTube, and I literally had the game on in the background, and it was like half of my television. You couldn't even see the whole thing. It was like a half of it,
and there was no audio.
There was no audio. They marked it for copyright.
Yeah. So I went to upload this the video. You know, we have the 1 hour video, and I went to upload it, and YouTube flagged it. It said, "Oh, this has copywritten content in there, NFL," and it showed me where those areas were. So I thought, wow, okay, that's kind of crazy. So I went and looked, and I'm like, it looks just like every other scene, right? So I said, okay, it said that it will still play though, but it's not going to affect me. It's not a copyright strike against me for having this. Okay, that's good. So I upload it, do all the things that I'm doing. I put it on my blog. I put it on our blog, Tech Talk Radio blog. And, I put the nice synopsis, photos, the whole bit. And then I go to share it and I pull up the blog, and the blog says video disabled due to copyright claim by NFL. I'm like, what?
That's ridiculous.
The only way you could watch it was to click through on YouTube. And people aren't going to watch that. I want to make it easy for people. And we were laughing about it because remember at the end of last week's show, Shawn, did we not all kind of joke around that, hey, I wonder if we're going to get flagged for that?
100%. We were just like, oh, I wonder if we're going to get flagged for that little bit of the NFL you can see in the background. Right. And I'm curious if it was because Justin didn't even have the audio up at all.
No,
did you?
No, not at all. Of course not. No, but I mean, I find this ridiculous because people will actually get away with live streaming like UFC fights or whatever on Twitch, and all they've got to do is sit there and with a controller in their hand like they're a streamer and pretend to be playing the game. And then they don't get flagged.
Really?
Yeah, and then they're like,
no,
it's not even a game.
they do.
Yeah, seriously. They're not even playing. It's an actual real thing. It's the real UFC or the real NFL, and all they have to do is sit there in the corner with a controller in their hand, and it confuses the algorithm to think, oh no, they're just playing a game.
Oh man,
It is the way I have watched like the last 3 title fights is I just go on Twitch and search UFC, and there's some dude with a controller sitting there, and I know some people play games weird. Like I know you got the guys who have like the controller like tucked under their chin, and that doesn't make sense to me. That's uncomfortable. But the guy will sit there with his controller like sat on his chest to make sure it's in view. And if you watch, his fingers never move, not once. But he's like, yep, definitely playing UFC fight night, not watching the title fight at all. And I'm like, well, I appreciate your efforts because now I can watch it and not have to pay money or go to Buffalo Wild Wings.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I ended up having to go into the blog, deleting that post. I deleted everything, YouTube, the blog post. I thought I want it to be clean. I want our listeners, their viewers, followers to be able to check the video out. So I thought, okay, I'll go in, and I had numbers there where content was flagged. And I went to those numbers and I took a little pastel screen and I just kind of blurred everything right where the TV was. And I did it in both those sections. Then I took it, I saved it, I re-encoded the video, uploaded the video, and it got flagged for another section somewhere in the video. And I thought it's going to flag me throughout the entire video. So what I ended up doing is I ended up finding a shot like we have right now, where it's just the black TV, and I went ahead and I cropped it. I went into Photoshop, did a special cropping on it, and then popped that into the video with Justin. and it was tedious because I had to watch the video. There's a couple shots where there's like a little bright flash that you could tell something was there, but that kind of got fixed because we were talking a whole hour of this, and every time Justin talked, I had to go in and fix it. But it ended up looking pretty good. I gotta say, I'm patting myself on the back there.
Oh, it's a good job, but I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I'm gonna be honestly, I would not be surprised if we don't get flagged today for Shawn's Mountain Dew can sitting in frame.
Uh-oh, where is that? Shawn, we got to see your.
Mountain Dew Voodoo.
Yep,
I'm gonna make a big screen.
yep. Now we're gonna get
It's their,
flagged.
it's their zero sugar. It's so every year Mountain Dew puts out this Halloween flavor, and it's a mystery flavor, and they kind of like they try to get you to guess, and you can potentially win something. This one is definitely tastes exactly like Smarties.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh,
It is so good.
It's gotta be
so
healthy.
if you watch the video and that can is suddenly changed to something else, you know we got flagged, and I'm cursing while I'm fixing it.
Well, or it could be the MacBook box in the back of Matt's shot there. I mean, that could get flagged.
No,
Matter of fact,
that's marketing.
Yeah.
matter of fact, Shawn, I know we were kind of eyeballing his MacBook, your new MacBook. Now, when did you get this?
About 9 hours ago.
So have you even taken it out of the box yet?
I spent 9 hours setting up this. Okay, so backstory of why I bought the Mac, because listeners who've listened to us before in any segment I'm on know I'm not an Apple fanboy. For those who don't know, with my background in cybersecurity, I got laid off in July, at the very end of July, and jumped back into the utter dumpster fire that is the job market. And in the 2 years I've been at my current company, IT changes really fast, but in the last 2 years, it changed in ways that my company did not adopt. So I have no background in them. And I looked at all the courses I'm going to be taking over the next 3 months to try and be employable again. And looked, and the best computer for all of those courses combined was a new Mac. So I went into Best Buy today. My wife and I talked about it, and I bought a new 14-inch M3 Pro chipset MacBook Pro.
Nice.
And the main reason I went with Mac is I'm going to be doing a lot of Linux work in some specific. So Linux comes in what are called distros or flavors, distributions. And I'm going to be trying to get certified in one that's specifically built for penetration testing called Kali Linux. And the MacBook Pro was really highly rated for it, whether running it as a native VM for dual booting or running it as a virtual machine, which is what I decided to do. But I almost called an audible the moment I walked in. I was like, I'm going to get the Mac. Everybody was busy, so I just kind of did a loop of all the laptops, and I saw this new Lenovo Yoga 9. And it's the first laptop I've seen where the keyboard is like outside of the Microsoft Surface, where it's a wireless keyboard comes with it, and it's actually 2 screens built like this that folds together. And I was like, I'm also going to do coding classes, and that would be really nice. Promptly jumped on one of the computers and was like, loading Linux onto this machine, and everyone was like, don't. There's your solution. Get a Mac. And I was like, well, hell, all right, guess I'm going to get the Mac. But with that, the other one that I wanted to bring to your guys' attention, they have finally released an augmented reality laptop.
Oh, you're kidding me.
It does not come with a screen at all. There is no screen with this thing. It looks like the bottom half of a MacBook Pro and a set of augmented reality glasses. That's your screen.
Wow.
Looks pretty cool.
And they're hardwired into it. So instead of like, oh, I bought a 14-inch screen, you have glasses that can be a 14-foot screen if you so decide. But seeing that, as we talked about VR, like one of the last times I was on here, like, and I had brought up, I'm surprised that no one's using that for their display. They're now doing that. And I think that's what we're going to start seeing here in like the next 5 years is display screens are going to be a nice feature, a bonus that, oh, if you spend extra $100, you can get the externally attachable display. Otherwise, pop these glasses on And welcome to the Oasis from Ready Player One, because everything's going to be done VR now, or AR.
Yeah.
But it's called the Space Top. So
The
instead of a
Space Top.
laptop, it's the Space Top.
I don't know. I like the idea of having the screen, even if this is a feature, but I think people are going to buy that for that feature, right? I mean, I can't imagine somebody not buying it because they want to completely immerse themselves in this environment like that. But I'd always want to have, like right now I have two screens for my laptop and I love it. That are available. I would want to have that as kind of like a backup thing.
But it's crazy. I'm actually looking at this right now. So you open it and the case like peels back and folds over and under. And normally it goes like over and there's like a little like camel hump where the glasses are. But where it like origami folds over is the webcam. And you can actually, it's got like little stilts so you can pull it up and down to adjust where it views you. So then you've got these AR glasses, this like little keyboard and a camera that you can like perfectly set. And there you go.
Well,
That's all you
I'm kind of wondering though, Apple, Shawn, how much was the price on the VR from Apple?
$3,500.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
$3,500. Someone, is the pricing on something like this, Matt, going to be similar to that?
You know what? If you give me a second, I'll actually look up what the price is.
Yeah, because I don't know. Would you spend that much money on something like that? Because I know, Shawn, you said you wouldn't spend $3,500 on the Apple Vision.
Absolutely
The
not. Absolutely
the-
not.
The MSRP for the Sightful Spacetop G1, a screenless laptop that uses augmented reality to create a virtual display, has a manufacturer's suggested retail price of $1,900.
Not bad.
Yeah.
That is cheaper than what I just paid for this MacBook Pro.
Yeah. Yeah. My son sent me specs for an MSI gaming laptop that he's looking at, and I saw MSI. He said, I've never heard of them. Are they any good? And I'm like, oh yeah, MSI is good. Yeah, you'll be fine with that. But it was $2,100, but it had a 4070 in it. And I'm thinking, do you really need that? Do you really need that?
I mean, I got my Asus, the one that I use for work. My Asus ROG laptop. It's a 17-inch screen. What is it? 3070 Ti. Graphics card. It's i9 processor, 64 gigs of RAM. I want to say that was $1,900 total, and that thing can run circles around anything else. But honestly, I don't think I would buy this AR one. I mean, it's not because of the specs or what it can do. I think it's just gonna. I think people would it would look too weird, and people would just be staring at you and asking questions, and you would never be able to get anything done because it's so new that nobody's ever seen something like that. And I just don't. I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't want it because I wouldn't want to be sitting there constantly taking out my glasses, going, "Yeah, it's an AR laptop. Leave me alone, please."
Can you imagine being like on a public bus or even an airplane on a flight, and you whip out the glasses, you put them on, you get the laptop in your lap. People could be wondering, what the heck is he doing?
Yeah.
So one of the guys that I played Dungeons and Dragons with does have the AR glasses, and he connects them to his MacBook and does the dual displays in his glasses and just chills in his room.
You
And
mean the
has
Apple Vision Pro?
No, they're glasses that connect via a connection to his laptop that can act as external displays for a MacBook. I'll have to get with him to see what actually the model is, but he loves them. I got to check them out not that long ago, and it's weird because they don't have diopters in them, so you can't adjust it to you kind of have to like move them forward and up to kind of get focus in there, but you can scale the size and all that stuff. It was pretty neat, but I just don't know if I would do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
that would be different.
I mean, they said the same things when like laptops very first came out. Was people sitting there like, oh my god, is that a computer in your lap? Like, so
I mean, eventually,
it's the CEO of Nvidia actually came out, I think it was yesterday, and said we are at the forefront of a brand new industrial revolution. And I was chatting about this with Lee the other day, and I was like, the original industrial revolution was, obviously manufacturing, hard labor, like things that, normally you'd have people their hands on. AI and the things that are coming out now are in my opinion, the digital equivalency of that same thing, to where so many things that might be repetitive. Oh, hey, I gotta script how to do this task so I don't have to do hands-on. Now you can just be like, hey, Chat GPT, we do this all the time. Can you script it for me? And it's like, yeah, sure, got you, bro. So
Yeah.
I think with that, tagging onto VR, AR, XR, whatever they're going to brand it as, I think we're seeing kind of turning the corner to the what's going to be next. And it's exciting. It's weird, but
It's kind of funny when you think about it, though, because I think we would have thought of Nvidia as part of this. Oh, well, they make graphics cards. They do this, they do that, and we would never have thought of them as being a big player in this next, digital, revolution. And they have been, because they put everything into saying, "Oh, AI is going to be here. We're going to support it. We're going to create the products that will be able to handle all of this, artificial intelligence and the needs for this." And those people that bought into the stock with Nvidia, thinking now they're just graphics card company, those people that bought in are doing pretty good.
Oh yeah.
my friend who bought into that when he was a teenager retired last week.
Amazing. Yeah.
He's a year
Amazing.
younger than me. I'm
Well-
not bitter at all.
Now, Shawn, you had a story that you sent us this week. Have we confirmed this, that there's kind of a run going on for Intel now?
So it popped up in the trades that Qualcomm had approached Intel to do a friendly takeover. That just means basically that Qualcomm would buy out all of the stock from the board members at Intel, and then basically shift priorities into Qualcomm. That I saw that article yesterday. Today, I just read that Qualcomm US just laid off a bunch of people. So I have no idea.
Oh,
right?
wow.
So, I mean, Intel is in the toilet right now, right?
I didn't think they were that bad. Why are they in the toilet?
So you've not seen all of the issues with the 14 generation and the 13 generation chips.
That's not.
So
It's
Intel
bad.
has this major issue with the 13900 series and the early 14th gen chipsets,
Right.
that they are basically at the transistor level frying themselves.
Now, have they come up with a fix yet? I know. I think it was
Well,
gonna be the
they-
motherboard companies.
They say that if your processor is showing symptoms of this problem, it's going to continue to get worse, right? Your processor is just going to continue to basically overheat itself and just fry itself.
Yeah.
So then it's just like, well, just RMA it. Well, they've basically run out of stock. They can't give people what they bought. So they're either giving you a newer processor that has the same problem, an older processor that doesn't have the problem, or they're just refunding you and saying good luck.
Oh, wow.
So it's been
So whose fault was this? An engineer? The designers?
it's a problem at Intel, and it got past quality control somehow, and it's just been
So do you think
their stock is really, really low. Like they are on an absolute decline right now.
do you think this problem could just completely destroy the company?
Don't know. It's just
I thought they were just too big to fail. I mean, Intel and
right.
AMD.
So
they're two big ones.
this is the big question, right? You have AMD, you have Intel, you have Qualcomm, you have a couple other Chinese chipset manufacturers, right? If Qualcomm comes in and just says, "Well, we're going to buy out Intel," well, there's a lot of people that are going to say that's going to violate some, whatever the law is, whatever the law
Antitrust
is,
law, yeah.
Antitrust,
the antitrust,
monopoly law.
right? Because Qualcomm's just going to have this huge share, and you've already seen Qualcomm trying to sneak into the lower end laptop market. So it's smart for Qualcomm to try and do that, where Qualcomm has just historically been a cell phone chip manufacturer or other, onboard integrated circuit manufacturer. So it'll be interesting to see, but I can't see why it doesn't make sense that companies aren't trying to buy Intel. They're at rock bottom right now.
Hmm.
And if somebody could absorb them and rebrand it or spin it around into whatever, I don't see how that couldn't benefit some company that has enough money to spend on it.
You guys remember? It would have been the '90s when there was a Pentium issue, The Pentium processors had some kind of issues with them, and they did a fix. They basically replaced many of the processors. I remember going through that. It was, and that's when you had opportunities. You could use Cyrix, or you used, or AMD. You would use those processors, the DLC 40 and the X40 and some of those other ones. And Intel had these Pentium processors, but there was a problem. And a lot of people thought the same thing back then, that that was going to be it. And they ended up coming out of that okay. I am hoping, because we've had people from Intel on the show. We still know people that work at Intel. We were kind of hoping maybe they will come out of this, but I don't know. When we got that news about Qualcomm, we thought, well, wait a minute, maybe this situation is a little more bleak than we'd like to. And then I hear that Intel is being sued by the Republic of Ireland for billions of dollars. So
What? Okay, I
yeah.
guess I haven't been following any of this stuff.
So again, it's there's problems, and I'm hoping they're able to fix them. I really am.
So here's the thing. We've discussed this before. We know I'm an AMD fanboy. I've been an AMD fanboy for most of my life. Way back when, one of the things that really changed and turned AMD around, because they were really lagging behind Intel for a long time. AMD was the very first company, between Intel and AMD. They were the first ones to create a dual core CPU. It was the original Athlon X2. And the guy who created the Athlon X2 actually did what is almost considered antiquated now. He hand laid the architecture for that chip. He didn't have a computer build it, anything like that. He hand laid it. And the Ryzen chipset, which has really turned AMD around, they basically called him and they were like, hey, buddy, it's been a while, hasn't it? Can you please come back? We're really struggling. And he hand laid the original Ryzen chips, which they've taken off. They're great. They're great bang for your buck. They're big machine. They're beefy things, especially like the Threadripper is just a monster.
Yeah.
But when and this is one of the things that turned me off to Intel, was when the Athlon X2 was really taking off, Intel called all the manufacturers. They called Dell, HP, Compaq was still around, E-Machines was still around. They called them and they were like, hey, so AMD is starting to kick our butts. So they did kind of like a quiet backroom deal. They were like, if you do our chipset instead of AMD for your pre-built systems, we're going to cut a pretty penny off the cost of your wholesale purchase. And it ended up getting them in a lot of legal trouble, because basically it was not an actual legal deal. It was, backroom, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, hey buddy, we're fine.
Right.
And it got them into big trouble with the US federal government. So to see that, they're getting sued by Ireland, their chips are eating themselves alive. Like, I'm sitting here like, oh, it couldn't happen to a nicer group of folk. Like, that's just, that's a shame. I view, in terms of like tech in the market, you either have the superior product or you don't. And
Right.
they haven't for a while.
Well, I don't know. I've built systems with the 13.9, and I was waiting for a fix from Asus for the motherboard that was in there that was going to supposedly be some kind of a patch to deal with this, and I haven't seen it yet. I was supposed to get emailed once that was available, and that was a great machine. I built my wife's with a 12.9, and I love it. It's super. It's faster than mine, and I think it's great because I've got the 11. They've made good processors, but I think it's kind of like, how I've been an Apple guy for so long on my smartphone. Going to Android was a little scary. It's still been a little hesitant. I'm still counting the days down till I can, return it, or I'm buying into it and I'm keeping it going full force. And every day I find another reason to keep it and to keep going with the Android. I think the Intel users going to AMD, it's been the same thing. We're a little timid about that. I've been using Intel for so long. Why would I want to try? But AMD has really been putting out a great product. The Ryzen 9, amazing. People have said so many good things about it. kind of think that maybe people, if they open up their eyes and they give it a shot, they're going to be happy with it.
I mean, to go with that, I've been living in a new video game, Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2. I
Right.
have been existing in this game, playing the story of Lieutenant Dominus Titus, and that is my happy place right now because the world is crap. But this is one of the games where the AI aspect of the game is crucial. Because you're fighting against an enemy that they're called Terminids. If you've played StarCraft, they're the Zerg, and it's
Right.
a first-person shooter. So you have this massive swarm of bad guys coming at you. And I was actually when I was at Fan Expo, I got to actually chat with one of the developers because they were presenting the game there. He was like, "Yeah, so the main swarm, when you see it like coming towards you, the computer runs it as one AI element." And then as it gets closer, it crosses this delineated line and these individual units start popping out. But it's every individual unit from that rendered swarm. And each unit has its own AI instruction that's popped in it. So I'm playing with my buddy who's got, I want to say it's about a 10 or 11-year-old AMD processor. And he was like, my GPU is like 5 years old and it's fine. For the first time ever in a video game, I am reaching a CPU bottleneck because of the amount of logic required for this AI. But case in point, what I'm trying to say here is he is running a 10, 11-year-old AMD CPU. It is still able to play this game. You can't play it on maximum settings, but a 10, 11-year-old CPU from AMD is still able to do that level of AI logic and routing and control.
Wow. That is pretty amazing stuff. It really is. All right. Well, tell you what, we're going to take a quick break. And Warhammer, I understand Henry Cavill plays that and it's a big fan of it.
We'll jump in that after the break.
All right.
I'll touch on that.
I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeird.
I'm Matt Jones.
And I'm Justin Lemmy. Find us on the web at techtalkradio.com. We'll be right back.
So right before the break, Andy brought up Henry Cavill and Warhammer 40K. When Henry Cavill was actually doing an interview for The Witcher, one of the questions was like, what outside of The Witcher, what's your nerd thing? Like what is your thing? And without skipping a beat, he just goes, "Oh, Warhammer 40K." And as soon as he says that, the actor who played Yaskir goes, "Oh, you play?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, right now I'm running I think he was running, it was either Terminids or like Eldar, but he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm running this right now." And they were like, "Oh, so you should and we should." And people paid attention to that because the one downfall, the reason Henry Cavill actually quit The Witcher is because he knows the lore, he knows the stories, he knows everything about it. He is a nerd's nerd. There is a picture of like all these big name actors like Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth, well, all the Chris's, like holding these babies, and then there's Henry Cavill like cradling a 3080 Ti like it's his child. And he knows the lore so much that he would get so upset with the writers room being like, "No, that's not lore accurate. No, that's not what Geralt would do," that eventually he just quit. And Amazon came to him and they were like, "Hey, so this friend of a friend told us that you know Warhammer 40K, and we were thinking of making a Warhammer 40K TV show. Would you be interested?" And they are making it. It is in progress. They are making the show. But Henry Cavill was like, "I will absolutely be involved if I'm the executive producer and I have hiring and firing rights everywhere."
Wow.
So he has hiring and firing rights for the writer's room. So if somebody's like, "I think we should tell our own unique story that doesn't have anything to do with the lore," he is going to punt that person out of like an 8th floor window and then go hire someone else. So when you said like
That's
Henry
awesome.
Cavill is like big into Warhammer 40K, he's still today posting on his Instagram like his stats playing Space Marine 2, like getting up there,
That's
like
awesome.
playing the multiplayer component with everyone. It's wild. I hope to end up with a lobby with him one day.
That is awesome. Now, Shawn, you did something that I didn't think you were going to do. That was kind of a surprise this week.
Well, so first off, I'm going to say that over the summer, my wife's cousin brought the tabletop version of Warhammer 40K
Ooh.
to our family gathering.
All right.
So I spent 3 nights, 3 separate nights, 3-hour sessions doing the kill team Space Orcs versus Veterans. It was
Ooh.
amazing. I'm gonna get the
What-
pictures and I'm gonna send him. You can put it on the blog. But he has the whole setup. He's got the starter kit. He paints his own minis. It was incredible. I almost bought it when I went to Gen Con this in at the end of August, but I would have spent way too much money, so I didn't. But there is a tabletop version of Warhammer that is incredible. So I will just leave it at that.
Isn't Warhammer the tabletop one where you have to like paint all your miniatures and
You
people
paint the
send-
miniatures, and then it's a specific version called Kill Team, which is different than like the campaign settings. This is more like a skirmish where you just fight each other for an objective.
Right.
But yes, it is a tabletop version where you have measurements and you have a ruler and you're doing. It was incredible.
Now, if
Shawn-
I've never played this before, would I be able to get into it? You think, or is this seasoned gamers?
If I might jump on this one, so there are now 3 different settings where you can play Warhammer 40K. The one Shawn is talking about with kill teams, traditionally your miniatures in the campaign setting, each miniature represents like a squad of guys. In kill teams, think of it like special ops. Each mini represents one character with specialized versions. It is the easiest way to get into the game. Then they, with the new release that they dropped 6-9 months ago, I'm guessing, they dropped a new thing called Combat Patrol, which is kind of in between the two. And then you have traditional Warhammer 40K, which is just massive armies. And the army is decided by point value. So each unit that you have, like a little guy is worth X amount of points. Mech is worth X amount of points. A Thunderhawk gunship is worth a mass amount of points. It's amazing. It is not an easy thing to jump into by yourself, but if you go to pretty much any local game shop, they'll have a Warhammer night, and any Warhammer nerd, except for like, the frankly, the basement dwellers, they're going to be there willing to bring you in and teach you. It is awesome. It is amazing. It is complicated, but Shawn, when you said orcs versus veterans, do you know what army the veterans were by any chance?
I don't remember, but there was a bunch of snipers, and I got to murder them with.
They were Tau. Oh, that's if it's a bunch of snipers, they're Tau, and that's disgusting. I'm so sorry your intro was Tau. Oh, so for Warhammer 40K, you've got all these, and I'm sorry, I can nerd out about this for the whole show, so I'll do this and then I'll be quiet. But like, you have 3 different main factions, like overarching factions for Warhammer 40K. You have the Imperium of Man, you have the Xenos, which are aliens, and that's like the orcs, the Tau, the Eldar, the Aldari. Then you have the forces of chaos, which are corrupted Imperium of Man that have fallen to a demonic influence. And there's like Korn, who is like, imagine Satan, and then like 3 other Satans. And those are the 4 main demon lords that create the forces of chaos. Orcs, Shawn, orcs are amazing. I'm so glad you got to experience that. My wife wants to play orcs.
It was the orc commandos and the veteran guardsmen. So I played both sides. I preferred the orcs.
okay.
I preferred the orcs because that's like my play style. Like
Yeah.
big and beefy, get in there and just mess stuff up. And their
Wow.
names are hilarious. Like
Oh yeah.
Slice Boy and Rocket Boy, and I mean it's fantastic. It was so fantastic.
Big
Oh,
big
boy.
gunna bro. When you're
Mhm.
talking about the veteran guardsmen, that's the Astra Militarum, which is, these are regular old humans equipped with like a laser, they call it a las gun, and it will blow like a meter-sized hole in a wall with one shot. Like in today's military, it would be the end-all be-all weapon. It is jokingly referred to in Warhammer 40K as the flashlight. It is the weakest weapon out there. The Astra Militarum settle fights just based on pure overwhelming firepower and like sundering amounts of artillery. Like an
Wow.
Astra Militarum artillery barrage will crack the mantle of a planet. And
All right,
orcs are ridiculous because they make things work solely by believing it. Like they're like, this will fly because we think it should fly. And the world is just like, yeah, sure, why not?
All right, now Shawn, you were gonna go to tell us about Beyond Warhammer. You were doing something a little different.
So we've talked about it, and I finally was getting so frustrated. My computer just started. I was losing USB drivers. Like I had issues last week when we were recording the show, and this morning I had the day off of work because I've been working like crazy, and I just said, you know what? It's time to wipe my machine. It's time to get it back to bone dry. Just get it done.
Wow.
So I downloaded the media creation tool. I made a USB for Windows 11 Pro because that's the version of Windows I have. Is I have Windows 10 Pro, which those license copy over to Windows 11. And then I plugged it in. I booted from the USB drive and said, "This computer does not support Windows 11." And I was like, that doesn't make sense. It's not that old of a motherboard. It's
Right.
It's a Ryzen 3700. Like I should have enough, right? So then I did some Googling. So with this motherboard specifically, you can boot into the older BIOS mode, or you can boot into the UEFI mode, right? So that had to be enabled. Well, once that was enabled, I was like, I'm ready. I'm golden, right? No, still said not supported. So then I had to go in I had to go in and I had to Google. You guys know my Google foo is really good, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It took me a few hours to find the right article to find the one buried setting, and I don't even remember what it is right now. I have a screenshot of it on my phone because I was just searching for it. And it was a weird FTPM setting on this. I have an Asus Gigabyte Asus Elite Wi-Fi motherboard.
I think it's PTT, is it, or something like that?
I don't know, but I found it, and once I turned that on, I had zero issues getting it in there. Then I spent the majority of the day just getting Windows 11. Then you don't realize how many things you actually have to reinstall when you go to a new version of computer. Oh my! It was like I wrote a list of all the applications that I consistently used on my computer before I wiped it, and then it was like 30 things. So then I'm just going through the list. Okay, I got Chrome, I got Firefox, I just went through this huge list, and it's like, oh my God, there's so many things that I have to do. And then I had to do USB driver updates because I was having issues with my headset not working, but the headset would work, but the mic wouldn't work. And I was having weird issues with my A10 mini not being read by the USB. And then my Stream Deck wouldn't work with USBs. And then I did a Windows update and then it worked. So the summary of my today is that it is not easy even for somebody who is, I feel like I'm pretty technologically savvy, to just do a basic Windows 11 upgrade.
Yeah.
To a clean version of Windows. Like I feel like a lot of people that don't have patience with technology would have just given up and gone and bought a new computer.
Right? Exactly. Oh my God.
There's a great tool I've discovered over the years if you're doing something like this where it's like I got to reinstall Chrome and Steam and Spotify and Discord, It's called Ninite, Ninite, and you can just go in and like go down the checkbox of like, I want all of these things, and it pumps out a custom installer, and you run the exe, and it goes through and just like default values for everything. So you can't do any customized installs, but if you're running like one hard drive and just trying to get a machine up, it will go and install all those things for you. It'll do the download, do the install, and then at the end, it's like, all right, I'm done. Now you get to go spend 45 minutes signing into everything. Have a great day.
Well, that was the other thing too. It's like I had to remember, okay, now I have to dual authenticate everything. My Google email is getting pinged every 2 seconds because I have to dual authenticate this app on Google, this app on Google. Now my work VPN needs to dual authenticate through Okta. And now my 1Password, now I have to go, oh, did I save my PDF for my master password? Sure did, thank God. Because if I would have done that, I wouldn't have been able to use 1Pass on my computer anymore. So
I'm having the same thing going through the the new Pixel 9, having to reinstall. Basically, it's like reinstalling, having to go in the apps, configure everything. Okay, that one works. That one works. That's been a pain in the neck. So,
Yeah,
but
I
you
just had to do
finally
that too.
you had to do that as well, right, Justin? Even
Yeah.
you were going from Pixel to a Pixel. You still have to do it, right?
Well, I mean, it's obviously it's a backup. I mean, I just restore the backup, but I still have to log into everything and re-authenticate everything. So yeah, that was the problem.
Yeah. But you got Windows 11 installed correctly, Shawn, and you're good to
Yeah,
go.
so I think it's great if it seems to run really well. And again, I spent after I installed a lot of the apps, I spent the majority of the day just customizing things, getting where I wanted to, and Googling how to get rid of all of the mother whatever ads that are on this Windows 11. Right? So getting it out of my start bar, getting it out of my search window, getting it out of everything on Windows 11 has ads in it now.
Oh yeah.
But there are ways to go into the registry and make some small changes so it doesn't serve you ads. You can actually disable Copilot, which I did immediately.
Where do you see the ads? Because I run Windows 11 3 different places, and I don't see any ads anywhere.
So I would click the Windows button, and I would get served like recommended apps that I don't have installed. If you click the search bar, it would serve you sports scores, weather, recent weather highlights, like the whole sidebar thing.
Those aren't ads.
Okay, it's
Kinda.
information that I don't care about. How about that? It's
all right.
if it's not ads, sure. It's information that I don't care about. I don't want to see it in my search bar when I'm trying to search for a file on my desktop.
But it wants to learn about you by what you click on.
True.
That's what it's going to do.
That's also true. But I just want a clean operating system. That's what I want.
Then you're going to want to do Linux because you're never going to get that with Windows.
No, I understand that. I can dream.
Have you heard about our Lord and Savior Windows 7?
Yeah, I
Right.
loved Windows 7 was great. It was the first not the first operating system I built a computer on, but like that's what I ran on the first computer I built.
Yeah.
So
All right, we got to take another quick break. We come back. Justin has a question. He's going to tell us about a new website as well. And we got a couple of listener questions as well. Hopefully we can get to. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeird.
I'm Matt Jones.
And I'm Justin. Let me send us an X at TechtalkRadio. We'll be right back.
Unless you're in Brazil, and then you can.
So recently, I told you guys I DJ'd a wedding. I DJ'd a festival.
Yeah.
And, kind of wanted to get back into doing more of that kind of stuff.
You've been having fun with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been having fun with it, but, nobody really knows that I do this kind of stuff. So I wanted to get some business cards that I could hand out. But then as I'm designing the business cards, I realize I don't have a website. I don't have a professional email address. I don't have any of that stuff because I don't know. I just never really thought about it. But I'm not going to design a business card and put, my personal Gmail address on it, and then nothing that people can be able to understand. So yeah, I bought a website.
Nice.
And I put it in chat there.
All right.
I used Wix, Wix to design it. The thing about Squarespace and Wix, they tout that it's, super easy to design a website. It's click and drag and your website's up running in minutes. It's not true.
Well,
it's not true.
well.
There is so much that goes into building a website. Yeah, granted, I don't have to do any of the code,
Right.
but all of every single page, you gotta talk about all the different elements that you want to put in there. There's, click to learn more. Well, where does this learn more take you? Well, you got to tell it where to take you. And then, you got to do all the SEO. You got to sign up for Google. You got to get your page, all your meta tags. And
Does it let you do Jetpack? Jetpack, have you seen that yet?
I don't know what Jetpack
Is a really cool tool for doing a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, no, I've never heard of that. But I mean, take a look at my website. I put it in the chat there. But I designed it real quick, put it up there. There's still a ton of work to do on it because it's not the way I like it. But at least now I have a website. I bought it for 3 years. I have the email, I have the domain, I have the website. So yeah, this should, hopefully help out a little bit. But again, my point being, this whole thing is, all these create a website in minutes. No, it's not true.
Yeah, it does take a little more time than that, and honestly, Justin, there's been so many people that I know that have said, We don't need a website. We're going to do it on Facebook. We're going to do it on Instagram. And those are great resources, but I still believe the professionalism is extended when you have social media, but you have a website that people can
Absolutely.
look at and an email address that people can look at. Now, the only thing I see, and this is from somebody who's designed and bought domains and the whole bit, is I like your site. I looked at it, but the name can be difficult in translation only if you tell somebody. But if you're giving it to them on a card
Yeah.
or something like that, they're going to see one means ONE,
Yeah.
So again, that's a good idea. But no, I do believe people still need to have websites, and people have kind of Wix. I don't know about Wix. I know Barry used Wix for his website, which I have the domain for that one. I honestly like WordPress and Divi. Divi is pretty good. Again, you still need to learn know a certain amount of WordPress terms and whatnot. But Divi is really great. If somebody is looking, you go to Element, I think it's Elemental Themes or Element Themes. You can find out, or just do a Google search for Divi. They have so many templates up there that if you're new or you're looking for somebody, you want to tell a web developer, hey, build a site using this, they can do it. And again, it's not too bad. But are you having fun with it? That's the main thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having fun looking at it, figuring this out. I mean, I've never really designed a website before. Well, no, I should take that back. I mean, it's been like 20 some years, but this is interesting the way they do make it a little bit easier to get the basis of it, but you really do have to dive into the deep details of everything. And so I find myself clicking through the pages and checking every single word, checking every single link, making sure that it actually goes to where I want it to go. But again, it's about that professionalism to be able to have that, because I think, it doesn't really matter what industry you're in, but if you're trying to promote yourself as a legitimate vendor of a product or a service, and you're just going to give them a Gmail account as your email with no website for them to go look at, it just screams, amateur to me, So to even just to have something basic where it's just, hey, here's my website and my card, that I'm going to give out. It's a very simple card. It's got my logo on the back. It's got the website. Bam,
Especially if
done.
you think about it, Justin, you're in a situation where, okay, let's face it, somebody wants to book an event like a wedding. They're going to tie you up for a weekend. So you're going to want a deposit. If you're going to be leaving a deposit with somebody, you want to make sure they're a legitimate company and they've been doing things. One other thing I think would be great on your website is some video. Maybe have Misa come out when you're doing a gig and just shoot some video. Or if you have video friends that are up there, I'm sure you do from the TV days, have them come shoot some video of you working. There's a guy in California that I used to work with, and sadly he passed away some months ago, Bob Stock. Great DJ. And it was funny because one of the girls I worked with at the station here in Tucson moved to San Diego when her daughter got married. That's who they hired. She said, "Oh yeah, I know this guy who's DJing said he knows you and Barry and that whole bit." And it was like so cool. But Bob has put a bunch of videos of him not even DJing, just him standing there in a suit and the camera going around him, and you see that personality. That's what they hire.
Well, that's another thing that I want to do. That's another thing I want to do too, is I want to be able to I'm just thinking about even just doing like an interview with myself where I want to tell people my side of the story when it comes to why you should hire me to do your wedding or your whatever event, because DJs are dime a dozen. What makes me different? So
what makes you stand out?
I want to be able to put that video on my website and say, this is why you should hire me over blah, blah, blah.
All right. Now, you had another issue too. This was actually a question about a problem you're running into or somebody else was running into.
No, I'm running into it honestly at work. This is the third laptop. These are Dell laptops, relatively new. I mean, I think they're not like the most current gen. They're not brand new from Dell. We do usually buy these things from a refurbished website, but they're very legitimate. They've done great work for us all the time. And they're all running Windows 11 Pro. And the third laptop, all of a sudden, it's like Wi-Fi doesn't even exist on the laptop anymore. Like it doesn't exist. Like you click on the network settings where it brings up Bluetooth and accessibility, nightlight, all that stuff. Wi-Fi, just not even there. Just nothing. Like it's just not even there.
Have you gone into the BIOS to see if it's enabled?
BIOS it's enabled. And you can see it in the device manager. You can see Wi-Fi. You can even go into the network connections, which is, the old Windows network connections, which they make it almost impossible to find on Windows 11. But if you get there, you can see Wi-Fi disabled. When you try to enable it, it just disables itself again. And there's no reason. I don't understand anything. There's no errors. There's nothing going on. Wi-Fi used to work on the computer. It's got to be a Windows bug of some sort. But we've Googled it. We can't find anything.
Has the laptop been opened recently? For any reason? Like, taking the back off of it to access a battery replacement?
Oh, no, not at all.
The Wi-Fi cards in these laptops, sometimes they'll put it at the top of the bezel. Other times they'll put it, on the bottom.
The antenna usually, yeah.
It's two small little connectors. And sometimes those connectors can fall off.
But see, the thing is it's listed in Device Manager. It's there. It shows it in Device Manager. And it shows it in the network connections, but it says it's disabled. And you try to re-enable it, it just disables itself again. Everything we Googled, it comes up with nothing. Like it's so weird.
Any
thoughts on this one, Shawn or Matt? Because
I mean, if it's in Device Manager, the only thought I could have is kind of where you were walking towards, would be like maybe the card isn't, I got bumped or something and it's not quite fully seated. It's seated just enough to be seen on Device Manager. But no, that is absolutely bizarre.
But there's 3 laptops that have done this.
So are these laptops, do they have the M2 wireless chip, like the M2 wireless chips in them that are replaceable?
That's a good question. I don't know. They're precision models. They're higher end Dell laptops, the precision line.
Because the newer laptops I've seen a trend in the newer laptops going with the M2 slot wireless cards instead of like the PCIe cards or the onboard, just because they get better performance with Wi-Fi 6 and stuff like that too.
Oh, that's
so. Wait, are you saying that something got jostled loose on the motherboard?
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they started making the change. The original M.2 slot was just for
storage.
SSD, right? And then eventually NVMe storage. And then they were like, wait a minute, the throughput on these ports is ridiculous. Why don't we start using it for other things? Kind of, the way USB happened way back in the day.
Yeah.
But that truly is bizarre. And the fact, if it's one, okay, somebody dropped it and didn't say anything or something like that. But if it's 3, 4 laptops, that's
it feels like a Windows issue, and they're all Dell. They're all Dell laptops.
It's funny. I opened up a tower system once, and they had M2. They were using it for the drives. They couldn't find the screw, so they couldn't tighten it down. So it was in, but it was kind of like like it was ready to catapult.
So we ran into this when we built we ran into this issue when we built my nephew's computer and then one of my friend's computers. Drives, most motherboards don't come with an M2 socket screw on the motherboard, and most drives don't come with one. So unless you just have one laying around, you're kind of up the creek when you put an M2 drive in.
The way I fix cars, pull the part off somewhere else.
The junkyard.
We got to take another quick break. We come back. We'll see if we can maybe future research that and see what you come up with on that. But we'll be back with more of Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeird.
I'm Matt Jones.
And I'm Justin. Let me find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Tech Talkers. We'll be right back.
In an earlier segment, we talked about me putting Windows 11 on my computer and reinstalling all the apps and programs that I had. And thanks to Matt for mentioning Night and NITE, I was able to download and install Audacity, Dropbox, Evernote, FileZilla, GIMP, Google Drive, Handbrake, Malwarebytes, Note++, OpenOffice, RealVNC, Steam, VLC, Winamp, WinSCP, and 7-Zip.
Somebody's got a good internet connection.
And I just hit download. It downloaded them all and installed them all in a matter. I mean, I did it during the show. I did it between when I mentioned it in the show and now, and it installed. And I'm now configuring my malware bytes, and it was awesome. Like it just worked. It was
The
incredible.
question that listeners would ask us right now, is it safe? It's
It
like that
is.
scene in Marathon Man. Is it safe?
It is safe. I've been using it in my IT career since like the very start of my IT career back in my enterprise IT career in like 2012. I started using it where Shawn is actually using the free personal version. You can actually buy Ninite Enterprise and use that same thing. And the options that come with that, it's like, okay, you can set it to a media that you hand around. You can do network installs. You can look at all the computers that are on it and manage updates, everything like that. Like it is the question of, is it safe? It is safe and it's awesome. I've been using it for 14 years at this point.
Now they
And
have
it
their
was
own-
it
they have
was
their own
very
website.
easy. Yeah, yes, ninite.com, but it was very easy. I just went to it, clicked the programs I wanted, hit download. It gave me a download file. I clicked on it and it said installing, and it just went through the list.
So it just bulks installs them, and then it tells you you're done.
I mean,
but-
it took a matter of less than 10 minutes.
It's awesome.
And the big part of that is the installer that it provides you is customized to the options you chose on the site. So choosing those like 15 programs that Shawn listed off, they all come in that custom downloader. If you chose 13 of them, you get the custom downloader.
Great stuff, man. We still have a lot more to talk about for this week, but we'll hold it for next week. If you have a question or a comment to us, please drop us an email, techguys@techtalkradio.com. Had a couple of people that called into the afternoon radio show this week and actually said, hey, I'm listening. So thank you. And tell your friends about the show as well. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeird.
I'm Matt Jones. Glad to be back.
And I'm Justin Lemmy. Thank you all for listening. Have yourselves a great week. We'll see you next time.